basketball on Midco Sports Network. The showdown on the women's side today between South Dakota and South Dakota State. And welcome inside Frost Arena once again. And great to have you with us, Tom Neiman, along with Brad Newitt. This is what we've been waiting for the last couple of months. Both these teams have won 11 games in a row. It's time to decide who's going to be the Summit League regular season champion.
It really will. I think it comes down here to what happens on this floor here today. And everyone has looked forward to this matchup after the first one that went double overtime. And just a great game. And these teams have been playing at a high level all season long. I expect a terrific one here. Shouldn't disappoint.
Let's take a look at the history lesson between the Jackrabbits and the Coyotes in women's basketball. You got to go back to about the mid-'60s for college women's basketball. So this is just the 87th meeting overall. Jacks have the advantage all time. But on January 6th in Vermillion, South Dakota won in double overtime, 105-98. Kira Duffy, 28 points in that game for the Coyotes. And last year, you see there, USD won both the regular season meetings, lost in the Summer League Championship to the Jackrabbits. It's been a great matchup between these two over the last 2 or 3 years.
It really has, and South Dakota really has had a little bit of the upper hand in the regular season. In Sioux Falls in the Summer League tournament, it's been South Dakota State. But here's the thing, I think these seniors for South Dakota State on their home floor today probably have a little extra motivation. They would really like to win the regular season championship this year.
And South Dakota in the top 25 nationally for the first time ever coming.
Tom, teams know that when they head into Frost Arena, they're not only going to get SDSU's best, but they're going to have to battle the tough atmosphere that Frost provides. I talked to Coach Plitzwhite pregame, and she said that the Yotes are just going to have to take that crowd energy and let it fuel them. She said it can be a great environment to play in. They just have to work hard, take hold of the moment, and enjoy it.
All right, thank you, Elena. The starting five for the Coyotes. One senior, and that is Allison Arns out of Crofton, Nebraska. Taylor Frederick, Chloe Lamb, Madison McKeever, and Kira Duffy, Jr. out of St. Thomas More High School in Rapid City. Hebert Miller, Irwin Larson, and Sellen. And these have been the starters the entire year for both of these teams. They've been incredibly healthy. Out of those starting five for South Dakota, Madison McKeever missed one game. Everybody else has started every game this year. Almost the same thing for the Jackrabbits.
That's what's let these teams play at such a high level throughout the entire year.
Here is Maya Sellen, checked by Duffy. Tegan Larson going at Taylor Frederick.
Tom, Tegan Larson has been on a tear of late for South Dakota State, playing her best basketball of the year, and a good start right there for SDSU.
Here's Duffy, who had 28 the first time around against the Jackrabbits in that double overtime win. Arns, the senior, on the drive here, going against Tylee Irwin. Tied up by Macy Miller. Stays here with the Coyotes. Coaching comparison today brought to you by Montgomery's Don Plitzwhite in her third year. And Aaron Johnston, 19 seasons at South Dakota State. Don Plitzwhite is 4-2 as the Coyote head coach against South Dakota State.
Yeah, she's had great success, and USD's had some really pretty good success in this building of late as well.
Missed by McKeever with the shot clock winding down. Macy Miller coming the other way. Miller had 31 in that first matchup, had 13 of those in the overtime sessions. Tylee Irwin gets the roll, and the Jacks out to a 4-0 lead.
Well, in the first matchup, Tom, between these two teams, South Dakota State dominated that point in the paint comparison, and they've gotten off to a good start. They've gotten two really good looks off the bounce early on.
These are the top two teams in scoring in the Summit League. They're also the top two teams in opponent points allowed defense. So we'll see what gives here. There's Duffy with the first bucket for the Coyotes. It's a three.
I really do think both these teams are so good offensively. Yes, they're good defensively, but I do think the offense is going to kind of rule the day here to this one, just like it did in the first matchup.
This by Miller, Tegan Larson offensive board. Yeah, it was tied at 80 at the end of regulation in Vermillion. Ended up 105-98 in that first matchup, double overtime.
And it was just a high possession game the whole afternoon.
Maya Sellen knocks down three.
Well, if there's a player that has been struggling from the three-point line for SDSU, it has been Sellen. In Summit League play below 30%, but that one really came off her hand nice.
Taylor Frederick, the post, way out high. Duffy ducks into the post for the moment. McKeever wrapping around on Miller, and it rolls off.
Their Miller's size advantage, about 6 inches there on McKeever, really played a big role in missing that shot.
Tylee Tylee Irwin getting a step, goes inside. Frederick adjusted that shot, and it comes away to Duffy. Duffy going right at Tylee Irwin the other way. A little bit of contact, but play on.
Irwin did a nice job just getting back, using her size to contest that shot.
At this end, Brad, as Coyote fans know, their team is so physical, strong defensively.
And terrific doing that right there. They'll force a lot of turnovers on their opponents because they wear you down with their physicality. They wear you down with their defensive pressure on the ball. Such a huge part of why USD has only got 3 losses this year.
Both of these teams have won 11 in a row. USD's got 24 wins already this season. South Dakota State at 21-6. Monica Arns, the younger Arns, is the first sub.
She's a player to definitely keep an eye on off the bench. She's really been shooting it well of late for the Coyotes.
Hannah Shervin is also in as well. Shervin, a transfer from New Mexico, first year with the Coyotes, and has had a huge impact. And there is the first foul of the game. This will go on Tylee Irwin.
Her first personal, first team foul of the first quarter for the Jackrabbits.
Kira Duffy so difficult to guard because she can shoot the 3 well. Irwin had to close out hard to respect that. And then picked up the foul on the drive as the shot clock was running down.
Arns and Shervin screen and roll. Allison Arns on the miss. Maya Sellen rebound.
Both these teams will really look to push tempo. They know transition points may not be easy to come by, but they're going to be important today.
Yeah, a lot of 3-point shots in transition for both sides. Missed there by Irwin. Coyotes just that Duffy 3 so far. Arns going to get a wide open look this time. Good drive. Allison Arns.
It's a little rub screen that time by Shervin. That was well executed by USD.
Tegan Larson going against Hannah Shervin. First foul on Shervin, and here's Allison Arns at the other end.
Shervin got involved there. I don't know that she really even maybe was trying to set a screen, but Arns, I think as a heady player, as a senior, just saw the congestion and took advantage of it.
So foul on Shervin, 2 shots for Tegan Larson. Sydney Palmer coming in from Maya Sellen.
And that last take by Larson's what you really are starting to see out of her. She's not, necessarily the type of post player that just hangs out on the block and is real physical down there. She'll take her defender away from the bucket, try to take you off the bounce. She's been successful now already twice in this game doing that.
4 quick points for Tegan Larson. This is Chloe Lamb, sophomore from Sully Buttes High School. Arns. And a blocking foul on South Dakota State. Tylee Irwin up off the deck, put a block on her, and that is 2 on Tylee Irwin.
Yep. So for South Dakota State, already 2 quick fouls on one of their best perimeter defenders, a player in Irwin that's got great length at 6 foot. Can really be disruptive on the defensive end. She kind of hit her head on the floor, falling down there. She's going to be all right. Looks like she's maybe just a little woozy as she comes to the bench.
Riley Cascio-Jensen in for Tylee Irwin. Liv Korngable checks in for USD. As Monica Arns gets both free throws. And now Maddie McKeever will check in as Kira Duffy sits down.
Tom, you were talking, though, about how good this USD team has been defensively. They had a stretch of games where they were holding Summit League teams under 50 points. I think it was 5 of them in a row. It was just remarkable what they have done in some of the Summit League matchups this year, just really bottling people up.
Good break for the Jacks. Loose ball comes away to Giebert. Shot clock at 5, though. Lacey Miller trying to get around Arns, and the pull-up good for Miller, who comes in averaging 17 a game.
That is such an advantage for SDSU to be able to get the ball into someone's hands like Miller, late shot clock, and have the ability to just create your own shot. Not many teams have that luxury.
Chloe Lamb on the cut, assist for Korngable. First bucket for Lamb, just a sophomore on a young South Dakota team. Taking Larson off on the 3, and Monica Arns with the rebound.
They really are young. I mean, outside of Allison Arns, this entire team back next year, and that is scary to think about for opposing teams in the Summit League.
Jacks force a turnover, get it back, South Dakota State. Midway through the first quarter here in Frost Arena, the rematch between the Coyotes and the Jacks. South Dakota State in the lead by 2.
Teams would like to improve on. South Dakota defending the rim, and that's because in the first matchup, South Dakota State, Tom, had 52 points in the paint. Over half their points came right near the basket. They've gotten a little bit of that here today off the bounce, but South Dakota going to need to shut that down. And for South Dakota State, they cannot afford to get in the foul trouble and put South Dakota on the line like they did in that first matchup. USD shot 41 free throws, and this is the 3rd best free throw shooting team in the country by percentage. And so if they're there, that's golden for the Coyotes.
Jackrabbits whistle for 37 fouls in the double overtime game in Vermilion. Just 2 so far. Missed by Sellen, tracked down by McKeever. Maddie McKeever, incredible scorer in her high school days in Minnesota. Out to Chloe Lamb. Lamb to Allison Arns. Tylee Irwin is back in there with those 2 fouls and holds off Arns.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see her on the floor, but that's really the matchup that SDSU likes on the defensive end, to get Irwin on Arns with a little more size.
Almost picked off by Allison Arns.
Yeah, certainly one of the keys here for South Dakota State, too, on this end is taking care of the ball. They did a really good job of that in the matchup in Vermilion. You know, it's a double overtime game. They only had 11 turnovers in that game, and South Dakota's a team that will really turn you over with their pressure. They've had some games this year where they've forced 20+ on their opponents.
First attempt for Maddie Giebert will not stay down. Peyton Burkhardt is in for South Dakota State, the freshman from Aberdeen. Here is Shervin, who has been an incredible asset this year for South Dakota.
Now they bring her off the bench, but she plays starter minutes and has a starter's role certainly for this team.
Burkhardt up over Shervin, rebound to McKeever.
Now missed shots, transition opportunities are going to be important both ways. It's great help defense that time by Miller coming over to help out in the post.
Yeah, Shervin had it for a moment. Miller knocked it out of bounds. Shervin right back out of there, and Taylor Frederick checks back in for USD.
Yeah, those two will sub a lot 1-for-1. It's a great luxury Don Plitzwhite has, being able to keep those two fresh.
Arns cut off initially by Miller, but the step back good. Allison Arns with 4, and South Dakota in the lead.
Arns, another player on this floor that can certainly create her own shot when her team needs a bucket.
McKeever, nice double on Miller that time. Here's Cassio Jensen, who will pass first most of the time, and nice little drop off, no look to Maya Sellen and 1.
Cassio Jensen, just a player that makes her teammates better because of how she can distribute the ball. Just a wonderful play that time, getting the dribble penetration and putting it right where it needed to be.
Chloe Lamb and Maddie Giebert battling down in the post.
Yeah, the physicality on both sides here. And South Dakota's a team that they will post hard. There you see Duffy that time working hard inside.
Foul on Maya Sellen, her first.
And Tom, it really comes from all 5 positions. So, as you know, as a defender for South Dakota State, they've got to be able to guard the post everywhere. I mean, it's not just your post players.
And the Coyotes leave 4 out. There's no help.
No, it's tough.
Back there for the most part.
You look at both these teams, and in a lot of ways, they play kind of positionless basketball. I mean, they're so versatile with what their players can do in the post, out of the post. They can all handle the basketball, pass the basketball, switch defensively. It's really remarkable to see.
Arns 3 wanders, and Sellen picks it off. Macy Miller on the bench momentarily for the Jackrabbits. Knocked away inside by Arns. McKeever coming the other way. And tripped up there by Casio Jensen. That is the 4th foul of the quarter on the Jacks.
Not a bad foul there, in my opinion. Turned it over, live ball turnover. South Dakota's great at turning those into points. Talked about all the turnovers they create, Tom. They score over 20 points a game off of that. So now you make USD have to inbound it. You got your defense set.
Arns again, step back over Giebert, a little bit short. Peyton Burkhardt rebound. Tegan Larson is back in right here for the Jacks.
No Macy Miller, though, for right now for South Dakota State. So and they become a little different offensively without her on the floor.
Selling, great idea, but a little bit out of the reach of Burkhardt, and Jacks turn it over again.
Well, there's a fine line. You know, you're trying to make plays and get easy baskets, but you're doing it against a really active defensive team in USD. It's not going to make that easy. See the switch there on the perimeter, something South Dakota State has done a lot this year defensively. And USD really countered that well with Duffy stepping off the ball screen.
Long 2 for Kira Duffy. She's got 5. Larson again trying to feed it underneath. There's basically 4 red shirts right in the paint.
Some of that interior passing, very difficult to pull off. Here's the versatility. I mean, you got Burkhardt bringing the ball up the floor. Both these teams got great skill level all the way up and down the board.
Selin thought about it, tried it. Jackrabbits stuck a little bit offensively right now.
Yeah, they haven't scored in over 2 minutes and kind of got stagnant once Miller went out of the game offensively for them.
No points for Maddie Giebert yet.
I think if you're South Dakota, you've got to really like how the first quarter has gone here on the road.
McKeever squeezes it in there. First bucket for Maddie McKeever. Coyotes going to take a 4-point lead at the end of quarter number 1. Kira Duffy, the junior from Rapid City, knocked down that 3 early. She's got 5, and the Coyotes lead at 17-13.
Motor Cars and Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
Welcome back to Brookings. Advantage Coyotes at the end of the first quarter. South Dakota in that first quarter, Bradley, just 1 turnover. They got off some more shots as a result of that in the first 10 minutes.
That's really the difference here, because South Dakota State had 4 turnovers. Tom, 3 of those came in the last 2 minutes when Macy Miller wasn't on the floor for SDSU.
Miller back on, taking Larson back at it. She's got 6 to lead the Jacks. Allison Arns coming off a screen from sister Monica, back to Duffy. Duffy, great look at a great backdoor cut by Allison Arns.
Those are there because a player like Duffy demands so much defensive attention. Even when you're off the ball and not guarding her, you're thinking about how you need to help, and then all of a sudden, your offensive players slip into the rim.
South Dakota at this end switching things as well. Taking Larson catch, knocked out by Monica Arns. Here's that last hoop on the assist by Duffy.
You'll see Miller here. She's kind of got her eye still on Duffy, knows she's the help defender, and Arns just sneaks past her. And that's saying something. I mean, Miller is a terrific defender who's obviously played a ton of huge games here for South Dakota State.
Sid Palmer strong on the 3. Taylor Frederick rebound. Duffy running ahead. Giebert is back, and so is Selin.
That was a tough attempt there for South Dakota. A lot of traffic. I like that they're pushing it. I think that's a good thing for them to do. You got to be careful. You don't always have to shoot it in transition.
Yeah, that's a good word down here, traffic. There's red shirts all over the place. They're just making it really hard to get the ball into the paint, and that was kind of what Don Plitzowite said. They want to stop drives like that by Larson.
Now, Larson made a terrific individual play. She's done that now 3 times in this game. Got to the foul line once off of it as well.
Taylor Frederick up over Larson on the jump hook. First bucket for Taylor Frederick.
Working Miller now into the low post. Again, this is where you'll see a lot of this just interchangeable positions for both these teams. South Dakota State's got to keep moving though here. Make USD guard you and expend a lot of energy to do it.
Off by Larson. Even when it's foul going to be on Sydney Palmer here for the Jackrabbits, but even when Sullen made that catch in the post, Frederick was strong enough to push her out just a little bit.
Yep. I think that's what helped South Dakota and Don Plitzowite, you know, in their preseason, where they were just terrific. I mean, they had, you know, wins over ranked teams at Missouri, beat Iowa State in Vermilion. You know, when you've got a strong physical team like this, you can compete with any team at the Division I level. And that's true for really for both these squads.
Arns on the miss. Duffy's got the rebound and the putback.
Well, the offensive glass hasn't played a huge role so far in this game. But I think as fatigue starts setting in and these teams are battling, you're going to see a little bit more on the offensive end on the rebounding.
Both teams, Bradley, passing up three-point opportunities, trying to get to the basket, picked off by Frederick. Taylor Frederick going all the way in. And the flip, there's another board for Duffy, though. Frederick back up. Duffy falling away against Palmer and won't go down.
Yeah, good job there by SDSU just staying with it. South Dakota State has gotten very little, though, in transition, and that's a huge part of who they are offensively.
They get a holding foul this time inside. It's Taylor Frederick gets her first.
I'll tell you, Tom, it is an absolute war inside in the low post. And Shervin back in now for USD to replace Frederick, and that may be the one thing that helps USD. You know, they got a little bit more rotation down there in that low post to keep their players fresh.
South Dakota State basically with 4 guards right now as Lindsey Thunick checks in. Macy Miller, 2 points thus far, goes in against Allison Arns. First foul on Allison Arns.
I don't know if there's a tougher thing defensively in basketball to do than to close out on a really good player at the top of the key where you're on an island. And Arns is a terrific defender, but even she couldn't keep Miller in front of her. Certainly one thing that South Dakota State also really struggled with in Vermilion was shooting the three-point shot, and they have not gotten that going today at all. They're just 1 for 8. You look down at the game in Vermilion, Tom, and they only shot 23% that day from the three-point line. This is a team that South Dakota State that usually is really good at that.
Maddie Giebert 0 for 1 so far, has not scored. Foul on Thunick.
Her first, second team foul.
A little more isolation at both ends now. Having to defend one-on-one. Jacks switch it up. Shervin's in the post against Giebert. Arns out to Duffy for 3, though. 10 already for Kira Duffy. 8-point South Dakota lead, and South Dakota State gets a timeout. Tickets now at thesummerleague.org/tickets. Less than 2 weeks out now for the Summer League Championships. South Dakota and South Dakota State on the women's side. These will be the 1 and 2 seeds. Just depends on who's going to be which one. And that depends on what happens today.
Yeah, really the winner today kind of certainly, they can't seal it, but they were in the driver's seat with just 1 week of games left to play after this.
South Dakota State's got 1 game left after this. Coyotes have 2, and Maddie Giebert still has not scored for the Jacks, has missed 2 shots. And South Dakota State just 1 of 9 at the three-point line.
Yeah, South Dakota State not themselves again here against USD shooting it, and Giebert in particular. Now the first matchup, Tom, she was just 1 for 8, never gotten a rhythm offensively in that game, and there was lots of opportunities for it.
A great pass by Lamb just to get it to Shervin. The miss, Shervin goes down. Jacks have numbers for just a second, but Shervin back in the play. Giebert, same spot, knocks the head down and fouled by Duffy.
Shervin falling down is all it took, and USD was scrambling. And late closeout, and Giebert did absorb a little bit of contact after that shot. Chance at the rare 4-point play here.
Yeah, there's just something a little bit off about Maddie Giebert's shot right now. Barely misses a free throw, better than 85%.
USD is really challenging SDSU in the post from all positions.
McKeever banks in 3.
She's had some of her own struggles shooting it this year with some consistency, and that one did not look pretty, but it did go in.
Coyotes at this end of the floor, though, Brad, outstanding. Foul's going to go on Sid Palmer, setting that screen. And that is the 3rd team foul. Both teams with 3 here in the quarter. You can't tell from the box score if this is banked in or not.
No, that's true.
5 points for McKeever.
South Dakota's going to take it. I mean, terrific start in this game for USD. I thought first quarter they really battled, and now they've gotten a little separation here in the second, just because they've been more efficient on their offensive end.
Taylor Frederick, great move to get around Larson, but Larson down with the board. Jack's got to get it unspooled at the offensive end, though. Macy Miller and 1. She's great on the dribble going to her right, maybe harder to defend going to her left, the way she can come back and adjust and score like that.
I've just never seen a better player in the women's game that can absorb some contact, keep her balance, get a soft shot still up on the rim. So many conventional three-point plays like that in her career. Big challenge here on here, though, for SDSU defensively. I mean, they've really haven't gotten together where they've strung together lots of consecutive stops on USD.
They got Duffy and Allison Arns out right now, and McKeever has hit back-to-back.
Well, that's huge if South Dakota can get buckets with their 2 leading scorers on the bench right now. SDSU trying to get the ball in the post, 4 out, 1 in.
This will go over to the Coyotes.
Yeah, the turnovers really are the difference in this game. I mean, if you want to point to one thing, that's now 7 turnovers on SDSU. USD has 1, and that margin is not something that South Dakota State can overcome if it continues in this game. It wasn't a factor in the first game. Both teams were very good at taking care of it, but SDSU has not done a good job of that early in this one today.
A little appreciation for Monica Arns. Coyotes have had a couple of 8-point leads here in the first half.
I just feel like they've executed well. They've screened well. They've moved the ball well. They've been aggressive, not settled. And they've had a little bit of luck with the banked-in 3, of course, but things have gone their way. That one missed badly by Frederick, though. Here's the possession. I mean, SDSU's got a chance to transition with that.
Great pass from Thudik, and it rolls off for Mycel and got it back. Taken away by McKeever. Saves it on the end line.
SDSU cannot let those opportunities go away because they've already missed so many opportunities with the high turnovers.
There's just a touch of hesitation offensively for South Dakota State.
Yeah. I tell you, they get a stop on this, and they need to be off to the races pushing the ball.
McKeever spinning it in again.
Credit South Dakota, especially McKeever, just aggressive attack that time and went right at Thunik.
7 straight for McKeever. Foul on Korngable on the drive by Giebert.
He said this earlier, McKeever was a terrific scorer in high school. And scouting report, first of all, catch and shoot, but she is really terrific also finishing at the rim when she can get a step.
Bonus now for the Jacks, 2 for Hebert.
Does SDSU look to mix something up here defensively? They've gone for a little zone press at times after free throws. They look like they're going to stay man, though, this time. Again, USD hanging right with SDSU here in the last couple minutes without their 2 leading scorers on the bench. And Allison Arns and Kira Duffy not on the floor here right now.
That is punched out by Monica Arns. Jackrabbits get it back. Cassio Jensen coming in for Thunick. And a Shervin coming in for Frederick for the Coyotes.
Number 15, Taylor Frederick.
SDSU's had to go against a lot of half-court D today. That's
Miller.
always harder.
Sorry, Bradley Miller had.
Great post up, though. Wasn't
Chloe
that?
Lamb was just a push and shove contest, and Miller gets the Jacks back within 5. McKeever cools off there a little bit, but Corngable outfights everybody for the rebound.
4 offensive rebounds now for USD in this game.
Not there for Arns, but Shervin at 6'3" on the putback.
That's the disadvantage SDSU has when they switch a lot of those screens. You're gonna have some mismatches on the O glass, and that time Shervin won the battle against Miller.
Maddie Gebert pounding in, gonna be an offensive foul as Monica Arns was there.
Monica Arns is just terrific at doing this. Stepping in and taking charges off the basketball there. Got set outside the restricted arc. Beautifully done defensively there.
Sid Palmer comes in for Sellen.
Tom Plitzowite continuing to get some of her main players some key rest here at the end of this second quarter.
Lamb for 3 in the lead. It's out to 10 now, biggest of the game for the Coyotes.
Duffy and Arns. She didn't need them even though they had picked up those 2 fouls, so that's huge for USD to be able to get by with those players on the bench here.
Miller splits that double team. McKeever takes it away here, but they call Monica Arns for the tripping foul.
Didn't see a lot of contact down low, but McKeever doing what she does best, and that's getting a hand on the basketball. Now, there's certainly a couple things you could really point to in this first half. South Dakota State not taking care of the ball. They've got 9 turnovers to USD's 2 turnovers. Just giving USD more opportunities to score the basketball, and then South Dakota State not being able to get going at all from the 3-point line, just 2 of 10. And South Dakota deserves a lot of credit for what they've done defensively here in this first half.
Jackson missed 3 free throws as well. Yeah, the turnover numbers are.
I mean, really, this game could be a lot worse if you're South Dakota State, to be only down 9 right now.
Final possession, Chloe Lamb. Spins to Shervin. Shervin up over Gebert, and that's the final bucket of the first half. And the Coyotes by 11 at the break. Shervin off the bench with 6. Maddie McKeever with 9, and Kira Duffy, who didn't play that most of that second quarter, the last 5 minutes anyway. Costa Rita, South Dakota in the lead by 11 behind Kira Duffy. Brad Newitt with the Subway Fresh Take for the second half.
Well, for South Dakota, do not look at the scoreboard. Do not let up. You played a terrific first half. I don't expect any let up from the Coyotes. And for South Dakota State, I think they got to get some transition going in this game. This is what makes this team great in Frost Arena is when they get the ball moving up and down the floor. That frees up the three-point arc for them. They're having a really hard time today scoring against this half-court South Dakota D.
Selin stripped away by Chloe Lamb, picked up by Arns, and off to Madison McKeever. Duffy back in there. Sad about the last 5 minutes of the first half with 2 fouls, but the Coyotes built an 8-point lead with Duffy and Arns in there and then extended it just a little bit at the end of the half. And a foul on Macy Miller crashing inside. Let's go to Elena Lanson to hear what Don Plitzowite had to say at halftime.
Yeah, guys, I caught up with her at halftime about the keys about working around their defense inside. They had an 8-point difference from those looks, and she says, guys, we've done a great job of using different players to drive to the hoop, and that versatility has been key today.
All right, thanks, Elena. Chloe Lamb with the bucket there. The lead is back to 13. South Dakota State with turnovers on the first 2 possessions, Brad.
Yeah, not what they needed at all. Now that's much better ball movement than they really had any time during the first half. They got the skip pass there and an open 3 off of it.
First 3 for Macy Miller. She's got a dozen to lead South Dakota State. Here's Duffy.
SDSU, they need to really try to lock in here. They need some missed shots that can help them get out and run. Going to be tough to do that if they're taking it out of the net a lot.
Allison Arns kind of shaking her head. That didn't develop at all the way South Dakota wanted it to as Taylor Frederick goes down. Coming up behind the play here, Tylee Irwin, a little bit of a force. Went back after it though, and 5 straight for South Dakota State.
That's what I'm talking about right there. Get out, push the ball. Force South Dakota to have to get back and try to scramble defensively. SDSU didn't do that at all in the first half.
Good catch, bucket again for Chloe Lamb. She's got 9.
Well, USD continues to just really do a nice job cutting without the basketball, screening for each other. Their motion offense has been terrific today.
Miller rolls that in as Allison Arns was there, but Miller scores again. She's got 14.
Arns certainly reluctant to probably challenge a lot there with already 2. Didn't want to have to pick up potentially her 3rd after sitting out a lot in that second quarter.
Duffy, deep 3. Tegan Larson rebound.
And here's the outlet and go. You see SDSU there. They certainly talked about this at the half. I mean, they're looking now to get a little bit more up and down going in this game.
Knocked away by the Coyotes. Still 21 on the shot clock. Hannah Shervin back in for South Dakota. Monica Arns coming in as well.
Almost felt like in the first half, you know, SDSU had to go against USD's half-court D a lot, and then it seemed like SDSU was really determined to try to get post touches with their posting. They are opening the floor up more here now in this second half, not really having a post in there and letting this happen right here. You empty the post, you get the driving lanes a little bit more.
We got a foul there on Allison Arns, who was really the second help defender to come over, and that's the 3rd foul on Arns. So Korngable back in.
I think Don Plitzowite certainly not happy about who they called the foul on, not necessarily maybe that there was a foul.
7 quick points here to open the 3rd quarter for Macy Miller. Chloe Lamb starting to take over for the Coyotes. She's got all 6 here in the 3rd for USD.
She's just been a steady Eddie scorer for them all season long.
Wouldn't stay down for Irwin, and then Duffy going after the rebound. Fouled by Tylee Irwin, and that's her 3rd.
I think certainly SDSU could do a little bit more of this too, just challenging the O glass. They only had 3 offensive rebounds in that first half. I correct that, actually only 2, excuse me.
Lamb, step back. Would have been a 2. Shervin with the rebound, though.
On the other side, Shervin's been terrific on the offensive glass for USD.
Got another chance with Arns, no good. Macy Miller Still trying to push. Maddie Giebert, 5 points in that first half. Knocked away a couple of times. Duffy and Monica Arns. That's 3 steals now for Monica Arns.
Yeah, Duffy really played that terrific scouting report there, forcing Giebert to try to go to her left. Nice post up there.
A dozen now for Duffy.
Tell you, USD just comes at you on that offensive end relentlessly.
Larson tried a couple of moves on Shervin and finally got the foul against Shervin. Just a little bit of space invasion.
Yeah, this is not easy to guard one-on-one in the post against a player of Larson's caliber. I thought Shervin did a pretty darn good job there, being vertical and really getting all ball on the block. The officials felt like she leaned in the lower body, I guess.
Number 3, Lindsay Thunen.
Ten points for Larson as Cascio Jensen and Thune come in South Dakota State. 3-quarter court press.
They haven't shown this yet. They haven't shown their zone yet.
Right over the top to Shervin and Sydney Palmer back to break it up. So made the Yotes take a little bit of time bringing it across, but still 18 on the shot clock.
They'll have to go man-to-man now, I would assume, on the out-of-bounds. That's exactly what they do here.
Jacks switch it up again. Shervin's inside to get Arns, however, in the post wrapping around, and a rebound down to Macy Miller.
Here's where SDSU can be dangerous. Miller able to just rebound and bring it.
Cascio Jensen the miss on a 3. Corn Gable rebound.
SDSU just 3 of 12 this afternoon from the 3-point line.
Duffy for 3. Good again. 3 threes for Kara Duffy. She's got 15 now, and the lead back to 11.
She just has amazing range. She shot that one 3 feet plus past the 3-point line. Now these teams continue to go right at each other here out of the locker room. Chloe Lamb really sparking USD. Macy Miller trying to keep her team in it too. Battle between the 2 top teams in the Summit League heating up.
South Dakota Showdown Series in Brookings. Women's hoops today. Great men's game here at Frost Arena yesterday between the Jackrabbits and the Coyotes. South Dakota incredible in the first half. South Dakota State comes back and wins it though. And the same story here in the first half. South Dakota was the better team in the first half here this afternoon in this one.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And they've done an important thing coming out of the locker room and not let the home team get this crowd back into the game and go on any type of run to make this close. USD has really played well on both ends of the floor to assure that.
Here's the zone for the Jacks, and they get a turnover out of it. So 12-3 now in turnovers.
Yeah, but you see the points and how much that has favored USD in this game. And USD's had 18 more shot attempts than South Dakota State. Now, granted, the Jacks have been to the free throw line a lot more, but those turnovers have hampered SDSU in so many ways.
Another 3-point miss as well. South Dakota State just 3 of 13 at the 3-point line. Maddie McKeever had that little scoring burst in the first half. Chloe Lamb has had a little scoring burst here in the second half.
Shervin working hard for position inside.
Rebound down to Selland, however. So Miller's still out there. Maddie Giebert on the bench. Peyton Burkhardt in.
And again, SDSU trying to go with a little bit more just spread offense. That has not been a recipe for success for them at all today. Sliding someone to the low post and just trying to bang inside with USD. They're just too physical, the Coyotes are, on the defensive end.
Yeah, timing off on the pass again. Another Jackrabbit turnover. Aaron Johnston said at halftime, we're a little out of sync, and some of that is self-inflicted. A lot of it is because of USD.
I would say a lot of it is because of USD. They have been terrific in this game.
Yotes kind of leaving the door open a touch here with some misses, but South Dakota State doing the same thing at the other end. And Miller going to get to the free throw line. A blocking foul on Monica Arns, her third. And let's go to Elena Lanson.
During that last timeout, guys, Coach Johnson said we can't go out and be so tight on defense. We're hanging out too stiff underneath the hoop, allowing them to drive. Let's move around, loosen up, and let the system work for us.
All right, thanks, Elena. Yeah, there's been a certain tightness to this SDSU offense.
That's why I think they really need to try to get this thing a little bit more free-flowing. And maybe that has to start with some changes on the defensive end. Maybe some trapping a little bit more off some ball screens, or this right here, a little three-quarter court. Try to ramp up the pressure here and see if you can start forcing some turnovers and get out and running.
Well, Macy Miller now with 18 for the Jacks, but still, it was an 11-point South Dakota lead at the half. Still a 9-point advantage. Duffy up and in. And that is 17 now for Kira Duffy.
How about the star players, Duffy and Miller? They both had career highs in the first time they played, Tom, and boy, they're on pace to do that again.
Larson this time got behind Taylor Frederick and one for Tegan Larson.
SDSU's been able to attack Frederick inside a little bit. They've been able to get some buckets on her. When Shervin's been in the game defensively, it's been a no-go. But that time, Larson did a nice job holding off and sealing enough.
13 for Tegan Larson. So now it's 8. South Dakota State got within 6 early in this third quarter, but they have not been able to get any closer than that. Maddie Giebert a foul on the drive by Chloe Lamb. Third foul of the third quarter here on South Dakota State, but this could be 2 shots for Lamb.
That's a heady play by Lamb. She initiates the contact there, draws the foul. Not sure I always agree with that should be a foul, but she did do a pretty good job initiating that to try to get herself to the line.
Chloe Lamb with 13 now.
Now this is the end of the floor right here where USD has, in my mind, really won the game so far because of how well they have shut down this prolific SDSU offense.
Maddie Giebert will get to the line. Has not scored yet here in the second half. Third foul on Taylor Frederick.
One thing that South Dakota State has been able to do in this game, Tom, is get to the free throw line. I mean, that's their 19th free throw attempt. So they're getting USD in a little bit of foul trouble here now, and they've been aggressive that way. But it's going to take a little bit more than that to make a comeback here.
Yeah, trying to counteract the huge field goal advantage that South Dakota has. The turnovers have killed South Dakota State. And a few moments ago, South Dakota had 18 more field goal attempts in the game than South Dakota State, but Jacks are plus 10 at the free throw line. McKeever and Palmer in that matchup. Bounces off of Tegan Larson's hands and goes to Shervin.
Now 3 offensive glass putbacks for Shervin in this game have just been gigantic. Those are backbreakers.
There is the second 3 of the afternoon for Maddie Giebert. She's got 10 now.
Still the only 4 threes today for SDSU. They've got to get that going here to mount a comeback.
And they cannot stop Kira Duffy either.
So skilled, and at 6'1" and even plays bigger than that in my mind. She's just been terrific and unstoppable.
19 for Duffy, and just when South Dakota State gets a little something going, Coyotes have an answer. Tegan Larson again, having another outstanding game.
Yeah, I mean, she's really kind of become the second go-to scorer along with Miller here again today.
Giebert running into Shervin. And that's just the 4th foul of the quarter on the Jacks.
14 foul. Substitution number 12, Macy Miller.
Right here, I don't think Gebert really knew exactly where the screener was. That's where, as a teammate, you got to talk and help each other.
It is the third personal on Gebert. Duffy right by Miller, blocked by Tylee Irwin. Out of bounds. Coyotes with plenty of time, though, as the block here actually goes out.
This is what SDSU needs. They need to help. I mean, you can't shut down Duffy today one-on-one the way she's playing.
Shervin out to Duffy. And a foul on Korngable will get South Dakota State back to the free throw line.
You mentioned the field goal attempt difference, and it certainly is. There's now been 21 more shots for USD in this game, but the free throws, SDSU's had a huge advantage here. This will be 21 and 22 at the free throw line compared to 4 for USD. But the turnovers, again, USD plus 10 there. That's the way it was at the half, and hasn't changed down here in the third quarter.
And Irwin misses both.
That hurts. That was your chance to just make a little dent here, get yourself some momentum. Now you got to defend.
Yeah, even a 7-point lead is going to look big for USD going into the fourth. Could be more than that. McKeever on the miss. Duffy could not quite make the save, but just 1.5 seconds left.
Looks like I think they have a little blood on Kira Duffy's arm or finger, so they're going to make her go to the bench.
Substitution number 11,
Now, if you're South Dakota State, you were down 11 at the half. Right now you've cut 4 off of that, but yeah, like you said, still looking at 7. The way USD has played defensively in this game, that's going to be tough.
59-52, Coyotes going to the fourth. Kira Duffy for South Dakota. 10 in the first half, 9 more in the third quarter, and leading the Coyotes into the fourth quarter up by 7. Had a huge crowd here at Frost Arena for the men's game on Saturday, almost a full house. A little lighter this afternoon because of some weather in the area, but South Dakota State will have one home game left after this one next Saturday, this coming Saturday against Western Illinois. Doubleheader with the Jackrabbit men. South Dakota's got 2 games left after this. They go home and host North Dakota State on Thursday. And then finish up against UND. Yotes, though, trying to win their 12th straight. Most likely wrap up a Summer League regular season championship if they can hang on here for the final 10 minutes. South Dakota 12-1 in Summer League play coming into this one. South Dakota State at 13-1. Both teams have won 11 games in a row. Gebert for 3. And the lead down to 5. 3 threes for Maddie Gebert, the all-time Jackrabbit and Summit League leader.
Just terrific ball movement that time, and this is the closest SDSU's been in the second half.
Duffy just backing down against Miller, using that size. Another shot rolls off, though, and Miller with the rebound.
A chance here now for SDSU to go on a run.
Gebert again to make it a 1-point game. Coyote timeout. Maddie Gebert back-to-back bombs, and it's a 1-point Coyote lead. Anna Shervin has been battling some foot injuries for South Dakota, but nothing major. She is in there right now. Played a great game again for the Yotes, and these teams have been healthy all year. Maddie Gebert has made 3 second-half threes, and the Jackrabbits right back in it, down by 1.
And the other big thing is SDSU's taking better care of the ball.
Coyotes have missed their last 3. Shervin on the miss there, and then a foul on the reach-in will go on Shervin. That's her third.
Tell you, USD, they contest every board, and then they try to really pinch the outlet is what they call that, is where you really try to pressure the person that gets the rebound. That's how they've tried to slow SDSU's transition game down in this one this afternoon.
Irwin rejected by Duffy. Picked off by Tegan Larson, and South Dakota State again with a chance to grab the lead.
Good job by Madison McKeever pressuring Cassio Jensen in the backcourt, and SDSU doesn't get transition off a live ball turnover.
A lot of little things like that South Dakota does so well defensively. Yes. AC Miller going against Arns. Miller might have switched pivot feet there, but shot clock's at 3. Cassio Jensen for the lead.
That was desperation. That wasn't who SDSU wanted to have the ball in their hands, but Cassio Jensen comes up huge there.
South Dakota State a little extra defensive energy right now.
Yeah, they're feeding off the crowd.
Keever on the miss, and Miller with the rebound.
And they've gotten South Dakota to miss their first 4 shots of this quarter.
No for Giebert. Larson going to get called for the push going after the rebound.
A 9-0 run right now for SDSU to start the 4th quarter. Really the first any kind of sizable run that SDSU's had in this game.
First foul on Tegan Larson.
USD's been terrific with their motion offense most of the day here, playing through Duffy.
Up over Miller again, 21 for Duffy.
I really think SDSU's got to think about bringing help when Duffy catches the ball. I mean, one-on-one, she really has been unstoppable today.
Irwin puts it on the floor against Duffy and Tylee Irwin.
That shows a lot, though, the confidence of Irwin, the confidence this coaching staff has in her. She struggled a little bit today, but that was a huge hoop.
Arns blocked by the combo of Irwin and Larson. Giebert crashing into Chloe Lamb. Just the first foul on Lamb and the second of the quarter on USD.
You see how SDSU has gone to now really spreading the floor, especially in the transition game. That's what gives Giebert that opportunity to drive to the rim.
Knocked out by McKeever, so they'll switch sides. Lob to Larson, tried to split defenders there and dribble it off her foot and out of bounds.
Yeah, just really didn't have room to try to pull that off. And South Dakota State's done a much better job in the second half taking care of it, but you're trying to keep the momentum going. You hate to see that if you're the Jackrabbits.
South Dakota still with just 4 turnovers in the game. They're plus 10 in turnovers. Duffy weaving around defenders again, sets it up for Arns. Coyotes have been cool here in the 4th quarter, though.
Yeah, USD's also gone to a smaller lineup here, I think just trying to match up better defensively.
Giebert's 3 rattles out. Don Plitzawai wants him to push.
And just Giebert's first missed 3 of the second half.
Irwin moving feet. There was some contact there on the drive by Allison Arns. Giebert straight in again, and the Jacks in the lead by 4. So Maddie Giebert quiet in the first half, but she's got 18 now.
And so much of it has been now in transition. That has been the key to this SDSU comeback.
McKeever coming off a screen, cuts the lead to 2.
McKeever, who was dynamite in the first half, doing that. A silencing huge bucket for USD to try to stop the run. I tell you, there just hasn't been a lot of stoppages though much here in this fourth quarter. Only 3 fouls.
AC Miller to Larson, lead back to 4. South Dakota timeout, 17 points for Tegan Larson.
SDSU has outscored South Dakota 15-4 here in this fourth quarter. After trailing most of the way, the Jacks now with a 4-point lead on their home floor.
Lead on the fan cam, brought to you by Avera Orthopedics. AJ Plitzowite and Senator John Thune in the house. 4:16 to go. South Dakota State had the early lead, and then South Dakota took over in the first half. Coyotes led by 11 at halftime. USD led by 7 at the end of 3 quarters, and 15-4 South Dakota State here so far in the fourth.
Now, USD has gone to this smaller lineup, I think, to try to match up better, but I'm not sure it's helped them offensively.
Duffy shot rolls off, going to get to the line though. Foul on Maya Sellen. That high screen and roll they've been able to get about every time, Brad.
Yeah, and that time SDSU was just confused. They didn't know. I think they were fully dedicated whether they were switching it or not, and you've got to all be on the same page when that happens. That was also a really good timeout though by Dawn Plitzowite. To me, it seemed like her team was just really starting to kind of show some signs of fatigue. Get that timeout called, get everyone a little rest for this stretch run here.
23 for Duffy. AC Miller in the post against Allison Arns. Had to get it back out, almost taken away by the Coyotes. Shot clock to 10.
It's just been so difficult for SDSU to get anything in the low post today.
Shot clock to 2 for Miller on that pullback, pull-up jump shot, and that is 20 for Macy Miller. They're going to take a look and see whether she got this shot off in time, and it appeared that she did.
Yeah, they have to look at this because if it is a shot clock violation, then it's a turnover. Obviously, take the 2 points off the board. To me, it looked like it should have been good, but talk about clutch. And USD played terrific on the defensive end that possession, but Miller just made a better play.
Quick decision from Missy Brooks. Counted for Miller. Stars are shining here in this one, Brad, with Miller with 20, Giebert with 18 for South Dakota State. Kira Duffy's got 23 for USD.
And really, that's the way it was in the first matchup, too. And both these teams are just terrific. You can see why they really both are deserving of being in the NCAA tournament this year.
2-3 zone for the Jacks. Chloe Lamb right on line on the 3, but strong, and Tylee Irwin with the rebound.
Just a little chess match there by Aaron Johnston, going zone, and it worked.
Under 3 minutes. Maddie Giebert. That glances off. Hannah Shervin will come back in for USD.
That's just not the type of three-point shot that you usually see Giebert take, and so I'm a little puzzled by that shot selection personally at this juncture of the game.
She thought it was going in, man.
Well, it's hard to argue with the way she shot it here in the second half. She's had the hot hand, no doubt about it.
Start with the high screen again. Lamb going to step back for 3, though. Chloe Lamb having a big second half. 16 for Lamb and a 1-point game.
That's just a huge shot for USD to get this thing back down to a 1-possession differential.
And then make South Dakota State work in the half court here. Shot clock's already down to 10. Miller shut off a couple of times by Arn. Shot clock to 4. Giebert's going to have to get one off here on the run. That didn't hit the rim. Shervin's got the board anyway.
Another great possession there for USD. Look at Lamb. She's been able to get to the rim with a lot of regularity here in the second half.
Number 24, Tegan Larson. Her second, 13 foul.
Foul on Tegan Larson. Lamb able to create and get to the line to shoot two. Chance to give the Coyotes back the lead.
Unlike the first time these teams met, where there was a lot of fouls, a lot of physicality, nobody really in foul trouble. There's not a player right now on the floor on either bench with 4 fouls, Tom. I like that. I thought, like I said in the pregame, Art, the first time these teams met, foul trouble dictated so much in that game. A lot of star players ended up not finishing it.
Tied with 1:45 to go. They went double overtime, the first meeting in Vermillion back on January 6th. South Dakota State's had to go deep into the shot clock the last 2 or 3 times down. Maya Sellen blocked by Shervin. Watches it go out of bounds with the shot clock at 14.
Well, Hannah Shervin pretty much has eliminated any type of post scoring when she's been in the game. She's been terrific. Seeing her today, she's got my vote for Defensive Player of the Year in the conference. I mean, she's awesome in there.
Late shot clock again. Miller blocked, I believe, by Allison Arns.
USD's really stepped up to the plate here the last few minutes of this game defensively yet again. Good help that time on Duffy.
Tylee Irwin got in there and took it away. 59, 58 seconds left. South Dakota State timeout.
SDSU finally made the commitment to go and help on Duffy, and it worked perfectly to get that stop.
Well, this was the first meeting of the year. Early January in Vermillion. Great crowd there, about 6,100. Chloe Lamb had 13 in that game, and Macy Miller hit a big shot to tie it at 80, send it to overtime. South Dakota State had a 7-point lead in the first overtime, let it get away. Coyotes tied it up, sent it to the second overtime, and that is where they got it done. Kira Duffy had 28. There's Hannah Shervin, had 23 points, 10 rebounds in that game. 7 players fouled out. Kira Duffy had 28 points and 9 rebounds and 7 assists. And an epic matchup the first time, won by the Coyotes.
It certainly was, and this one has really lived up to a lot of the hype that we hoped it would have again here today. You could tell, I mean, just seeing these two teams on the same floor again here today, certainly the 2 class teams of the Summer League on the women's side.
Yeah, they're going to be the top 2 seeds in the Summer League, and by all accounts, going to both make the Summer League or the NCAA tournament. Foul on Arns. Will be her 4th, but no bonus yet for South Dakota State.
This next 45 seconds, I mean, Tom, this really probably more likely will determine the regular season conference championship here. Which team can grit out the win? USD should be able to get the ball back even regardless of what happens here.
Miller got it in the post. Taken down by Arns, and now a scramble and a timeout called by South Dakota. As Monica Arns did come up with possession. And there's going to be some discussion now, but they got the timeout.
The officials in their estimation felt like South Dakota had possession here when the timeout was called from the bench. But nonetheless, look at all the help that came in on Miller there. I mean, Arns clearly had the ball in her hand, so I think that was the right call by the officials.
22.6 left. South Dakota will have it in the front court, but plenty of time for the Coyotes to play for the winning shot. Tied at 69 here. Coming up live on Midcoast Sports Network Thursday at USD. Kyle Women hosting the Bison. And that is a doubleheader with the men's game coming up about 8 o'clock that night. And then Saturday we'll stay in Vermilion with Kyle Women hosting North Dakota to wrap up the Summit League regular season. There you go, tied at 69.
Huge advantage for USD here. They can hold for the last shot. For the Coyotes, the worst that should happen to you here is go OT.
Chloe Lamb on the dribble, got Duffy in one corner, Arns in the other. High screen by Shervin. Maddie Giebert chasing. Chloe Lamb would not stay down. Stays after it though. Lamb got that on the rim. And we're going to go to overtime again.
My goodness, what a rivalry this has become this year.
Look at this shot by Lamb that would not stay in. And then she got another crack at it. Overtime coming up. Extra hoop again between the Coyotes and the Jackrabbits. South Dakota State outscores South Dakota 17-10 in that fourth quarter to get it to 69 all. A little lower scoring than the first time around. They were 80-80 going into overtime in Vermilion in that first game of the year.
South Dakota State did it, quite frankly, on the defensive end. In the fourth quarter, they held USD to just 3 of 12 from the field. That's how this thing got a little bit lower scoring, as the Jacks were finally able to string together some stops. Gave them some chance to get out and run a little bit too. I think it's safe to say at this point that both these teams are pretty evenly matched.
Fouls will carry over. Only player in the game with 4 fouls right now is Allison Arns for South Dakota. She's got the basketball right now. Kira Duffy, 23 points in regulation.
CSU trying to bottle her up there again, switching that high ball screen.
3 to start overtime by Allison Arns.
Her first three-point attempt and make of the day. Trying to get Miller just isolated there at that high post.
Going in on Monica Arns, and that'll be 4 on Monica Arns now.
I mean, really pretty simple here. You get the ball in your best player's hands at about 15 feet from the rim and let her go to work. Put a lot of shooters around her that you can't help off of.
Yeah, that's been the thing in the second half, has it not? South Dakota State has not been able to do anything in the post, just clearing out the post and letting Giebert and Miller and others put it on the floor.
Yep, they had to change their approach at halftime because they turned it over so much in the first half trying to get it inside. In the second half, been much better offensively for SDSU.
22 for Macy Miller, and then Miller is going to get the foul here. Trying to get through that screen by Arns. Second foul on Miller, 4th team foul on South Dakota State.
Yeah, so the team fouls do not reset at overtime like they would at a quarter break, and there really wasn't a lot of fouling in that fourth quarter. SDSU has really started to lock down here defensively now. This is the one player that they haven't been able to shut down yet.
Yeah, late shot clock at this end is Duffy. Other end is Miller. Shervin, shot clock at 3, just goes flying in against Larson and a late whistle.
Shervin looked a little out of control there. Tough to tell from behind. They didn't call Larson. They called Irwin coming from the backside, I believe, with that foul. Or did they call Larson?
I thought it was on Tegan Larson. Yeah, that's her 3rd.
Okay. That's a tough one to go against Larson.
Neither one good, though, for Shervin. Cascio Jensen out there. Maya Sellen is the starter for the Jacks, but she's had a rough afternoon. So Cascio Jensen out there in overtime. Maddie Giebert blocked by Shervin, and Giebert tried to avoid that ball hitting her out of bounds. Shot clock is at 2 though for the Jacks.
Again, SDSU's trying to go, like you mentioned, a little smaller line, trying to spread the floor there.
Trying to get a lob to Larson. She's going to have to get off a 3-point attempt, and it's a shot clock violation.
And that ball got tipped. The shot clock should have gone off long before the attempt did. It didn't end up mattering. If that had gone in, I think we would have had a review on that. Every possession huge, obviously in overtime. This becomes even bigger.
Tylee Irwin with the block on the shot by Arns.
I can tell you, Irwin's come up huge with some defensive plays. Look at the crowd, though. Miller draws.
Tegan Larson with her first 3 of the game. She's got 20 now, in South Dakota State back in the lead by 2.
That's all the attention that Miller drew in the post that freed that up. So Shervin and Larson really banging inside.
Duffy and Miller in that matchup. Arns going against Cascio Jensen. Shervin for 3.
Wow.
Big answer for Hannah Shervin, her first 3 of the game.
How about the post, stepping out, showing their range in clutch situations there.
Coyotes back in front. Cascio Jensen a little strong. Nice job by Chloe Lamb to tap that. And the Coyotes with possession up by 1.
Yeah, another huge possession here. If you could get a 2-possession lead, that is enormous. 3-point shot would give them that here.
Reset for Lamb. Shervin, high screen, shot clock at 5. Chloe Lamb, 17-footer. Rebound to Larson, minute 20 to go.
Now, which team's got a little bit left in the tank here, and Aaron Johnson's going to use a timeout. Nothing else, maybe get your team a little rest.
The bigs knocking down 3s. Tegan Larson gives South Dakota State the lead. And a Shervin right back at him at the other end for South Dakota. 1 minute and 17 seconds left in overtime. South Dakota in the lead by 1. South Dakota State with the basketball. Big 3s on those last 2 possessions. Yes. Tegan Larson's made 11 3s now on the season. Hannah Shervin has made 4 now on the year. And they knock them in to make it a 1-point game here with a minute 10 to go.
Now they are really intent on not letting Miller get going in the post, bringing a double every time she catches it there.
Shervin came out on him. Macy Miller for 3, and the Jacks up by 2. 25 for Macy Miller.
Now USD got caught in a switch that time, and Miller exploited it.
Duffy has made a couple of 3s from that distance already. Taking Miller to the hoop, however. Larson, big rebound. Arns in there. And they're going to get a foul on Monica Arns. And that is 5 on her, and free throws coming up for Tegan Larson.
So many times in this game, Duffy's been able to get this bucket. She really did a nice job driving, but Miller cut her off there, didn't let her get a great angle on that shot. That was the key to the miss, and then Larson, a huge defense. Foul's not necessarily a bad thing here for USD. I mean, first of all, you're preserving a lot of clock, and you're probably going to have to go to this route now to try to catch back up.
Just creeps in for Larson. Three-point game. Don Plitzowite timeout for South Dakota. All right, 37 seconds left in this one, and If the tournament started today, this is what it would look like. And this could change in the next 37 seconds.
But we should say if it started this moment in time.
South Dakota State, North Dakota State is going to get in. Denver has the one win this year in Summer League play against South Dakota. North Dakota at the 6 right now. Again, just a couple more games coming up for each of these teams. South Dakota State will have one left after today. South Dakota has 2. But whoever wins this one today is going to be the number 1 seed.
More than likely
in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, this because these two teams have really dominated and rolled through the competition outside of the USD game at Denver the rest of the way.
Lamb coming off the screen. Larson off on a switch. And Chloe Lamb will get to the free throw line. 4th foul on Tegan Larson.
Hey, Lamb's done this a few times in this game where she has initiated contact. Boy, I don't know. That looks like really good defense. Oh, my goodness.
$18 for Chloe Lamb, 23 for Kira Duffy.
How does South Dakota choose to play this out? They certainly have some time where they could apply some defensive pressure here. Full court if they want to. See if you can force a turnover. Something overall today they've been terrific at, but South Dakota State has done a much better job taking care of it here in the second half. That's why they were able to erase the 11-point deficit.
Frederick comes in for Shervin there. Lamb gets them both. 1-point game. 1/10 of a second difference on the shot clock, and the Coyotes foul right away. Get Miller to the line for 2.
I would have let a little more time and a little more pressure go off personally, or just put a little more pressure on South Dakota State. If I'm USD, this is probably the last player I would want to put on the line at this point if you could choose. Now, that's not always the option you have when you're behind.
Arns and Shervin back in.
Tom Plitz-White wants the best offensive team she can get out there right now for this possession.
Miller makes it a 3-point game again.
Go again with that ball screen, try to see if Lamb can create.
Duffy. They don't give her the 3 initially. Tegan Larson got a piece of the shot. And a whistle underneath.
Oh my goodness.
And they got a foul on Maddie Ebert as that ball was in the air. It was not even a shot attempt.
That's a block shot at that point. I mean, it's a loose ball in my mind. There's no foul there. And it was going to be South Dakota's ball if it went out of bounds, because Tegan Larson did a terrific job sniffing that play out and blocking Duffy's 3-point attempt.
Shervin got the first 2-point game. That won't go down. Maya Sellen rips away the rebound, and they got a foul, I think, before. South Dakota State was trying to call timeout.
Sellen has had certainly a rough day, like you mentioned, Tom. Hasn't shot it well, had 5 turnovers. But that was a gigantic rebound. I mean, she went up and got that thing with authority and ripped it away from a couple red jerseys.
Aaron Johnston had just put her into the game just for that reason. And the foul was on Duffy. That's her 3rd. So 2 shots here for Sellen.
I don't know if it's any tougher thing to do than to step to the line when you know you've had a rough day, to make a pressure free throw like that, and Sellen knocks the first one in. This is the big one, though, that could give him a 2-possession lead.
Stays at 3, ball's loose. USD wanted a timeout. They're not going to get it now. Duffy, they need a 3 to tie. 4 seconds left. Duffy short. might have been touched, was not by the Jacks, they say, and 1.2 seconds left. And they're going to get a timeout called by South Dakota State.
Now, great job by Sellen defending without fouling. I don't think she got a piece of it, Tom, but really did a nice job just getting a hand up in Duffy's face. And Duffy, who's hit so many huge buckets in this game, left that one a little bit short. I think Don Plitzowite just felt like she couldn't get a timeout right away, that her best chance to probably get a good look was in transition there before SDSU could get set. So she let her team play it out. At this point now, it's going to take a miracle steal and a heave for for USD.
South Dakota State gets to move it into the front court. Cassio Jensen will play it in. Hannah Shervin is right up on her.
The big thing for Cassio Jensen is if you're going to throw it in towards your hoop.
Got it in to Miller, and a foul on McKeever with 0.4 left.
Foul number 23, Madison McKeever, her second.
Yeah, they're just looking at the time a little bit, and the officials can come and look at that if they want to. So, but it's probably not going to matter at this point. I mean, SDSU's going to the line here. One free throw made would ice the game, and even a miss. I mean, USD's not going to have a lot of time. They could call a timeout if she missed both and advance it. That should just about do it.
28 for Macy Miller. South Dakota State evens the regular season series.
Big time comeback for SDSU on their home floor. Down 11